Good morning, students. Welcome back to the class. Today's date is 24th August 2020. So, in my live class, I have already introduced you to lesson number 4, part 2, that is 4.1. So, let us recall it what we have did in our Good morning, students. Welcome back to the class. Today's date is 24th August 2020. So I have already discussed, sorry, I have already Good morning, students. Welcome back to the class. Today's date is 24th August 2020. So in my live class, I have already introduced you to this lesson, which is lesson number 4, part 2. Now let us do it once again. So in this part 2, we will be learning the main rivers of India, their tributaries and distributaries. Then we will be learning the sources and features of the main rivers of India, the main uses of Indian rivers and the underground rivers. So let's move forward. So in this lesson, after discussions, explanations and going thoroughly through the lesson, the learning outcomes that you will be getting is to be able to classify the major Indian rivers on basis of their sources. Then to define and list the perennial and non-perennial rivers, to list the Himalayan and peninsular rivers in India, to discuss the features of Indian rivers, and to identify the uses of Indian rivers. So these are the outcomes that you will get after going through this lesson. Now, we already know that India has lots and lots of rivers. These rivers might be small or big. Now, these are some of the important rivers of India. And these are Indus, Ganga, Narmada, Tapi, Godavari, Krishna, Mahanadi and Brahmaputra. So these are the major Indian rivers. You can say the major or the important Indian rivers. Next. So, we already know that these rivers, they have a source. In our previous part, we have already discussed that every river has a source. Now what is the source? The source is the point from where the river originates. Now the source of major Indian rivers. So what are the sources of our Indian rivers, the main important rivers? So number 1 is the Himalayan and the Karakoram mountain ranges in northern India. So this is the Himalayan range, okay? The Himalayan and the Karakoram mountain ranges in northern India. And the second source is the Vindhya and the Satpura mountain ranges and the Chota Nagpur plateau in central India, or the Sahyadri hills, Western Ghats in western India. So the second is all about central India and the western India. Clear? So one source is the Himalayan and the Karakoram range, which falls into the northern India, and the next one is the Vindhya and the Satpura mountain ranges, which also includes the Chota Nagpur plateau, and it includes the central India and the western India. Remember it, central India and western India. Now let's move towards the next one. The first is the Himalayan and the Karakoram mountain ranges in northern India. So what you have to remember here is the name of the source, the mountain range. It is the Himalayan and the Karakoram mountain range. And now where it is located? It is located in the northern India. So you have to remember the location. It is located in the northern India. Now these rivers courses are long. Why? This Course means the path of the river. It originates from the Himalaya and then it comes from there and then it goes into the goes and pass through the towns and villages and cities and states. So they actually have a very long path. The course means path. They run from the source to the seas. So it originates from the source, that is the mountain, and then it flows towards the sea. And these, as they originate from the Himalayas, so these rivers are called the Himalayan rivers. Remember it, Himalayan rivers. And which are the Himalayan rivers? Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. So you have to remember, Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra are the Himalayan rivers because they originate at their source, or you can say the originate, or you can say the source is the Himalayan and the Karakoram mountain range, which falls in northern India. Clear? Now let's move towards the next source, which is the Vindhya and the Satpura mountain ranges and the Chotanagpur Plateau in central India, or the Sahyadri hills in western India. Now this range actually includes both the central India and the western India. That's why they have included central and western India. Now these rivers are called peninsular rivers because it is center, right? Central India means the center part, and western, if you see, it comes to the below, a little bit below. And peninsula, what are peninsula? We have already discussed. When the land is covered by water from three sides and only one part is connected to the mainland, right? That is called peninsula. Now these are called peninsular rivers. Which are the rivers? Mahanadi, Krishna, Kaveri and Godavari. So these are the rivers. And do you know what are the states they includes this second source? They include Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. The Vindhya and Satpura range, they includes Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. And you can see the Narmada river in this region, okay? Then the Chotanagpur Plateau, it covers the maximum part of the Jharkhand and some part of Orissa, West Bengal, then Chhattisgarh, okay? And Mahanadi actually falls into this region. This is not included in your book, but I'm just giving it some information so that you can get the idea where these ranges actually falls, okay? So it mainly falls in the central India and western India. Now this is the map. I have only few rivers I have mentioned it. If you look at this map, wait, this is the central part, right? Central, and this is the western part, right? Now if you look at it, Mahanadi is here. This is central, right? Then we have Tapi, Krishna, Kaveri. All this falls into this second source of rivers, okay? That is Vindhya and Satpura mountain range, including the Chotanagpur Plateau. So here not only we have the rivers but also the tributaries as well. I will explain these later on in the last discussion. Clear? Now let's move towards the next slide. Yes, the perennial and the non-perennial rivers. Now what are perennial rivers and non-perennial rivers? The perennial rivers are those rivers which flows throughout the year. The water never dries out. These are called perennial rivers. For example, Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. And if you have remembered, Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra has their source on the Himalayan and the Karakoram range, right? Yes. Now let's move towards the non-perennial rivers. Rivers which do not have a constant flow of water throughout the year are known as non-perennial rivers. They have a seasonal or periodic flow. That means they are not constant. Only during the rainfall the river will flow because the water will come, right? Otherwise, if there is no rainfall, there will be no flow in the river. Now there is a small information here I have given. The peninsular rivers originate from the peninsular plateaus and the small hills of India. These are non-perennial because they receive water only from rainfall and hence do not have water in them throughout the year. So that is the reason that they do not have a constant flow. They only flow when they have a rain, when there is when the months come, when the monsoon comes, the rainfall happens, then only the rivers flow. Otherwise it doesn't have a constant flow. Remember it. Perennial, it flows throughout the year, and non-perennial rivers, it does not flow. Now perennial, you can relate it to the first source, that is the Himalayan and the Karakoram range, and non-perennial is included in this one, the second source, which is the Vindhya and Satpura mountain range, and also the Chota Nagpur plateau. Yeah, so this is how you're going to differentiate. Now let's move towards the Himalayan rivers. Now we have already got that Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. These three rivers are the major Himalayan rivers, right? Now let's read the information about each one of the rivers. Indus, it is one of the longest rivers in the world. So which is the longest river in the world? It is the Indus. Indus is the longest river in the world. 5 major tributaries meet the Indus in Punjab. Now what is the meaning of Punjab? There might be a question that might come. What is the meaning of Punjab? Punj means 5 and ab meaning water. That means Punj means 5 and ab meaning water. That means 5 tributaries meeting at one place. Okay, and what are these? Which are the tributaries? Chenab, Jhelum, Ravi, Beas and Sutlej. Remember this one. These are the 5. You can underline this one. These are the main 5 tributaries of Indus. And always remember, because Punjab has these 5 rivers, that's why it is called Punjab. Punj means 5 and ab means water. Clear? Now, and these 5 tributaries, they meet the river Indus at Punjab. Now this Punjab actually includes area. Some of the Punjab part actually it is in India, and some of the part it falls in the Pakistan. But this meeting point is actually in the Pakistan Punjab, not in Indian Punjab, but in the Punjab that falls into the Pakistan region. Clear? Now let's come to the Ganga. Ganga, it is the longest river in India. Don't get confused. Longest river in the world is Indus and longest river in India is Ganga. It meets the river Yamuna at Prayagraj, earlier called Allahabad. The Chambal and Betwa rivers are tributaries of Yamuna. So Yamuna has 2 tributaries. Yamuna has 2 tributaries. If you see here, Yamuna has 2 tributaries, Chambal and Betwa. And Son river is a tributary of Ganga. Ganga has only 1 tributary, that is Son. And Yamuna has 2, which is Chambal and Betwa. The Hooghly in West Bengal is a major distributary of Ganga. Now, did you remember what is distributary? Did you remember? Distributary. So, what are tributaries and distributaries? I'm not going to say this one. Go back to your the part 1 and go through it, the tributaries and distributaries, and find out what the distributary is. Okay, this is your homework. Find it out. So the Hooghly in West Bengal is a major distributary of the Ganga. Then number 3 is Brahmaputra. So beginning in Tibet, so Brahmaputra originates from the Himalayas, but it begins from Tibet. So beginning in Tibet, the Brahmaputra enters India in Arunachal Pradesh. So it enters exactly at Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, it enters through Arunachal Pradesh and flows through Assam. It then meets the Ganga in Bangladesh and flows into the Bay of Bengal. Clear? So this is a simple one, the Brahmaputra. but you have to remember the rivers and its tributaries. It's very important. Lots of question might come from these things. Clear? Then this is what I have taken a picture of the Punjab. If you can see here, this is the Indus. The Indus begins from here, it goes from here and then here, right? Now this is the Bees, this is the Ravi, this is the Chenab, Jhelum and Satluj, and this is the New Delhi. That means this black portion boundary is the Indian boundary. Okay, so all this meets at Punjab. So this whole part is Punjab. So that falls into Pakistan. So this is how they meet the Indus. The 5 tributaries, they meet the Indus River. Now let's move towards the peninsular rivers. So peninsular rivers has 4 major rivers. They are Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Narmada and Tapi. So Mahanadi. So the major tributaries of Mahanadi are Shivnath, Jong and Hasdeo. So these 3 are the main tributaries of Mahanadi. Shivnath, Jong and Hasdeo. It flows through the states of Chhattisgarh and Odisha. I have already mentioned that this peninsula, the Vidya and Satpura range and the Chotanagpur plateau, where these ranges are located, right? So it flows through the states of Chhattisgarh and Odisha. Remember it, the tributaries and the states through which it flows. Clear? Then we have the Godavari. So Godavari has lots of tributaries, and some of it are Pranhita and Indravati. So 2 tributaries are mentioned here, Pranhita and Indravati. It flows through Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Odisha, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So it includes both central and the western India. Clear? Also a few parts of the southern India. So that means it actually covers almost the peninsula region. Then we have the Krishna. The Tungabhadra is the largest tributary of the Krishna river. The Krishna flows through the states of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So it also includes the peninsular region, right? And remember, Tungabhadra is the largest tributary of the Krishna river. There are other tributaries as well, but Tungabhadra is the largest one. Then we have Narmada and Tapi. So these rivers flows from east to west. That means east to west. The Narmada and Tapi flow through the states of Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Gujarat. So they flows from east to west through the states of Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Gujarat. Now let's move towards the next one. Yes. Now this is a picture, Indian map which showing the rivers of India. This is a picture, I have taken it from your book, but it's not clear. That's why I will be showing this one, okay? And this picture I will be giving you in the Google Classroom, so you don't have to worry. Remember the rivers, their location, where it is located, because this is very important, because you will be having this map. You have to locate the rivers where it falls and identify which river is in which state. So be thorough with the rivers and try to practice this map again and again. Remember the location. So if you see here, okay, Brahmaputra is here. It is in Assam. Then we have the Ganga, Yamuna. Then we have Narmada and Tapi here, Mahanadi here, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri. Okay, so you have in this map we have the major rivers as well as their tributaries. Okay, so these rivers I'm going to send you the picture. Please be thorough with it. Next, I will be coming to the next, connect the dots. So here we have the English fun. The word upriver. Upriver means going up, okay, or upstream. Refers to the direction of the river's water source. That is, the river which flows towards the source. Clear? And downriver refers to the direction in which the water flows, that is towards the end of the river. Then we have the science fun. Hydroelectricity is generated from rivers and waterfalls. What are the other ways in which electricity can be generated? Make a scrapbook to describe these other methods. So make a scrapbook, that is not needed. So you can, what are the other ways in which electricity can be generated? So here is the answer I have given below. Electricity can be generated from cold, wind and sunlight. So you can write this answer on your book. Now let's move towards the workbook. So we have few questions there. So let's do it. So from the multiple choice questions, number 1, which is the longest river in India? It's not world but India. So in India the longest river is Ganga, and if it comes which is the longest river in the world, it will be Indus. Number 2, in which state does the Indus meet 5 major tributaries? Yes, it is in Punjab, and that too the Punjab that falls into Pakistan. There the Indus meets the 5 tributaries. It's 5 major tributaries. Clear? Then we have fill in the blanks. The dash is in West Bengal is a major distributary of the Ganga. That is the Hooghly. Hooghly river is very famous in Kolkata. So you have to remember this one. Then we have number 4. The dash is the largest tributary of the river Krishna. That is Tungabhadra. Tungabhadra is the largest tributary of Krishna. Then we have very short answer. Question number 5. Where does the Brahmaputra meet the Ganga? It is in, yes, it's in Bangladesh where the Brahmaputra meets the Ganga. Then question number 6. What are the rivers that have water throughout the year called? Perennial rivers, the Himalayan source, right? Perennial rivers have their source at Himalaya, so they have water throughout the year. So the answer will be perennial rivers. Then we have the short answer question. Question number 7. What are non-perennial rivers? Give an example. The rivers which do not have a constant flow of water throughout the year are called non-perennial rivers. And the example you can give any, Mahanadi, you can, whatever the rivers mentioned there, you can give it. But here the example I have given is Mahanadi. Now let's move towards the match the following. So in the match the following, we have in one column we have the tributary and the other we have the river. So number 8 is Betwa. Betwa is the tributary of which one? Yamuna. Remember these things. It might come as question, it might come as fill in the blanks, it might come as match the following, it might come as one word answer. So be ready with it. So Betwa belongs to Yamuna, Indravati belongs to Godavari, Beas belongs to Indus, and Jong belongs to Mahanadi. So this is the match the following. Now let's move towards the next one. So this is a map that has been given to you. On the map of India, mark and label the following. A river that does not originate in India, that is Brahmaputra. B, a tributary of the Indus, Ravi. C, a distributary of the Ganga, that is Hooghly. And D, a river that flows through Telangana, that is the Krishna. Now, in your exam, it is not sure that only these 4 rivers will be coming. Go through each one of rivers, the major rivers and its tributaries. The map that I will be sharing, please be thorough with it. Any rivers might come. Clear? So now let's move towards the map. I am going to show it to you. So as you can see here, this is the map of India, and here I have already given you where it is located. Ravi, Brahmaputra, Hooghly and Krishna. I will be sharing this map in the Google Classroom, so you don't have to worry about it. So you just locate the map and try to name it. Clear? And please be thorough with the chapters. Lots of questions might come from this chapter. There are lots of questions available in this chapter. It might be very short, long. So fill in the blanks, one word answer. So, and also you have the new words with meanings, go through it. So anything might come, and be thorough with the lesson. Okay, so here I am going to end my class. We have other part left, a very small part is left, so we will discuss it in my next class and complete the chapter. So till then, please study and be thorough. So here I end it. Thank you.